Originally, the proper order is to perform the Chando ceremony and then continue with the tea ritual ceremony. They say we now have 2 million subscribers. Is it already 2.01 million? During all this time, our head monk has worked very hard. People casually say 2 million, but isn't that truly enormous? So all of that virtue and merit belongs to our head monk. Understood? Do you all leave a lot of comments? But it seems you are not leaving many comments. The responses are rather weak. Only a few people over here are answering, and the rest are not responding. Will you promise to leave comments well from now on? Clapping is not enough. Raise your hands. Can you do it well? Oh dear, how disappointing. Over there they must not want to leave comments. Just sitting there grinning and touching their mouths. If you do not even leave comments, then you are not truly a Buddhist of Yonghwa temple, right? What are you going to do? So leave many comments. No, since you promised, I'm going to start checking from this evening. If you cannot sleep and have nothing to do, then sit there watching me. Today, I will give a sermon about gone thought. The world is continuously changing rapidly, and chanting the Buddha's name, while beating the moktak is becoming something from the era when tigers smoked tobacco. Sitting and beating the moktak while chanting Hyeu is now becoming something from the era when tigers smoked tobacco. From now on, the world will change into AI. Every day people talk about AI, and this is how things are changing. I have been saying for 10 to 15 years that the world would change greatly in the future, and when the world changes greatly, living would become difficult. I have said this for a long time. But these days, when I watch the news, YouTube, or broadcasts, people are protesting and having labor disputes, yet their minds are still blocked even now. Isn't that right? For the past 15 years, I have said that the world would greatly change in the future. Once advanced awakened machines appear, people will no longer be needed. I have said such things countless times. But when I look at the workers at Samsung, they still do not understand it even now. Why are those people's minds so blocked? It is because of greed. Their minds are blocked by it. These days, labor disputes do not even match the principles of reason. Oh dear, what kind of labor disputes are people having these days? So those laborers working at Samsung. Laborers. People who receive money to work are called laborers, not employees. Understood? To become an employee, you must invest money into that company and become director level. That is when you become an employee. But nowadays they call them executives, though originally they were employees. If they want to become executives, they must invest money into the company. Do you understand? To become an executive, you must invest money into the company. Only then do you become an executive, otherwise, you are not one. And all the people working in factories are that. Laborers, not Samsung employees. What employee? They are laborers. Because I sit here wearing monk's robes and give a sermon like this, perhaps to those people I only appear as some monk in a temple. Their eyes still have not opened and remain shut. That is why they cannot recognize people properly and behave that way. I also used to run businesses on a very large scale in the past. I ran large businesses, and regarding business, people should not even question me. I am also a doctor when it comes to business. If someone has done business for over 40 years, are they not a doctor? But in the beginning, where were labor unions? A labor union was originally created so working people would not suffer disadvantages and could be treated at a reasonable level. What need is there for labor unions now? They are laborers. A laborer is someone who comes for a day, gets paid if they work, and does not get paid if they do not work. So when the world develops like this and changes so rapidly, people also all change. That is why last time I upgraded the sermon by one level and gave you a sermon. I wonder whether you understand. Do you? So regarding the Yonghwa world, I have given many sermons about the Yonghwa world until now. The Yonghwa world is a place you go to after death. You do not go there while alive, and because you go there after death, commandments of Buddhism were received thoroughly and completely, because if you do not receive them, after going to the Yonghwa world you cannot reincarnate there. What use is it to remain there a long time? staying as a ghost after death. Isn't that right? So a dead persimmon tree neither blooms nor bears persimmons. If the tree is dead, how can flowers bloom? Once you die, it is over. So going to a good place after death does not hold great meaning. Therefore, as the sermon followed the changes and transformations of the times, the Yonghwa world came forth, though originally it was not the Yonghwa world. Understood? Originally, when a person dies, they are supposed to reincarnate. But things do not happen that way. People have not accumulated enough virtue and merit for reincarnation, and the world is still not prepared for such things yet. So when people die, at least because this is Yonghwa temple, they go to the Yonghwa world. In places that are not like this, once people die, everything ends. Then what does it mean that everything ends? It means that when people die, they disappear as ghosts and vanish. Then why would the awakened Maitreya Buddha come? There would be no reason to come. People could simply live the same way and pass away like ordinary commoners. Why struggle so desperately trying to spread this Buddhism? There would be no need to make such efforts. But if things are not done this way, the world cannot be established. Do you understand? No matter how beautiful and wonderful the earth may be, if there are no people, that is the end of it. What use is the earth if nobody lives on it? If there are no people living on it, the earth becomes a wasteland. That is why I said this long ago. If people become too awakened while living, advanced products appear. And when too much awakening occurs, it becomes difficult for people to survive. So even when working in factories, work that one person could do is now being done by 10, 20, or 30 people together. In the current era that may still fit, but after this year, next year, and the year after that, it will no longer fit. Why is that? The population keeps decreasing, and people are not getting married. Why? Because they worry about how their children will live in the future. Young people say they worry greatly about this, but they cannot help worrying. So as the world develops and continues to develop like this, people must awaken. They must awaken, because machines will end up doing all the work that people do. That is why I have given countless valuable sermons. If measured in money, even selling the whole earth could not repay it. So who else talks about Buddha's enlightened light, the light of the sun, and such things? There is no one else speaking about it except me. These days, more people are talking about it occasionally. So when it was said that humanity lives by the sun's light, many people listened and researched it intensely. After researching it, they realized that when the sun sets it becomes night. When it rains the sun cannot be seen. When it snows it cannot be seen. And when clouds gather it also cannot be seen. So they say that by counting only such days, electricity cannot fully be supplied through the sun's light alone. But what will happen in the future these days? In the future, things will be replaced with hydrogen. If hydrogen replaces things, oil from the Middle East will no longer be very necessary. Oil will no longer be needed if hydrogen is used instead. Electricity, hydrogen itself becomes electricity. If electricity is produced and used through hydrogen, there will be no reason to buy oil from the Middle East. However, when hydrogen is produced and used for electricity, pollution occurs. Therefore, if the earth is to remain clean, humanity must live through the sun's light for the earth to stay clean. Understood? Hydrogen is matter. Matter. Understood? Matter. For a time, hydrogen cars also appeared. They appeared, but because they were not properly developed, they faded away halfway through. So people decided to charge electricity and use it, hanging chargers everywhere while electric cars drive around. Understood? But Samsung also announced that hydrogen would be used as an alternative in the future. However, for humanity to continue living in the future, people must live through the sun's light. If they live through something else, limitations will come and it cannot last long. So it is not that receiving the sun's light for a long time means electricity must also be received for a long time. Even receiving it briefly is enough. Even with only 1 or 2 hours of receiving it, it is possible to secure enough electricity to use for 24 or 48 hours. Do you understand? So the sun's light can also be applied in different ways. If it is properly applied after receiving the sun's light only once, it is possible to create enough capacity to use electricity for 1 or even 2 months. Anything is possible. People still cannot do it because their minds have not yet reached that level. Therefore, in the future, only if the world lives through the Buddha's enlightened light of the sun can the Yonghwa world be established on this earth. Understood? Why is that? Because the Yonghwa world of earth is a world without death. Understood? Today I am going to teach many good things, so stay fully alert and listen carefully. The Yonghwa world is not a place you go to after death, but a place achieved while alive. Therefore, because it is achieved while living, Gong thought is necessary. Gong thought will never disappear until the earth comes to an end. Will the light of the sun disappear? It will not disappear. That is why, because people continue life by receiving the sun's light, there is no death. So one must possess considerable knowledge in order to understand what I am saying. People without knowledge cannot understand it. That is why even university professors absolutely cannot understand it. Only by studying a great deal and listening to sermons can one understand. So originally, the Yonghwa world is not a place people go to after death. It is simply where the dead remain. Because they wander outside, they are sent there. But originally the Yonghwa world is where living people go, not the place where people go after dying. There are many conditions required to reach that point. First of all, the human body must not age. If your bodies are made through Buddha's enlightened light, then even people whose hair has turned white and who have aged into infirmity will all change back into people in their 20s. Such a device and machine will appear before long. Understood? It will appear. Just wait and see. I am not lying. It will come out. Then that machine will be a machine that brings people into a place without death. Later on, if you simply carry a laser of Buddha's enlightened light this small at your side like this, there will be no death throughout your life. That is the machine of Gong thought and Buddha's enlightened light. Just wait and see. It is not a lie. That is why every time I gave a sermon, I told you to live healthily and for a very long time. You must not die. If you die, you must go to the Yonghwa world and then reincarnate again and keep circling around endlessly when you return. But for those who remain otherwise, there is no death. That is why the population of the earth keeps decreasing. There are too many people. There are too many people in our country as well, and our population exceeds 50 million, right? But imagine if it became only half of that. When people are rare, they are treated properly as human beings. But because there are too many people, people are not properly treated as human beings. So where does that Yonghwa world come into the Sabha world? It comes to the land of Korea, the Republic of Korea. I have spoken about this countless times. I have never even gone to places where machines are made. I have never even gone to places where bombs or Chungung missiles are made, yet I know everything. That is why I have said this countless times. Our country will become the #1 greatest power in the world. Our country will also become the wealthiest country in the world. Just wait and see. This is not a lie. People will line up carrying sacks of money on their shoulders until their necks nearly break, all coming to Korea. Just wait and see. It is not a lie. You simply do not know. But Gong thought refers to something without end. Weapons will also continue appearing endlessly from Korea. But what is the most frightening weapon? Lasers, lasers, lasers. So things like the Chungung or Hyunmu currently being used are merely samples, just samples. You all know what a sample is, right? These are only samples. Even if North Korea launched not only nuclear weapons but the grandfather of all nuclear weapons into the sky, they would become completely useless. If lasers are fired from here, every function in the sky will disappear completely without even a single ant remaining. Once the laser is fired, I am not lying. In the Iran war, you know those drones from Iran? One drone costs 30 million won. Yet when they launch a 30 million won drone into the sky, America fires a 6 billion won missile to destroy it. Money must be rotting away for them to do such things. If a 30 million won drone is launched, In our country it would not even cost 301 to shoot it down. 301. Why? Because it is done with lasers, though currently lasers are made artificially. If lasers are created and fired using light itself, then no money is needed. Because they are fired using light, do you understand? The sun's light floating in the sky is free for everyone to use. If someone is clever enough, they can use it freely as much as they want. People pay money for it only because their minds cannot grasp it. So since such a wonderful world is coming, you should live healthily and long enough so that when that world arrives, you can live in a world without death. The reason I tell you all this is because humanity will live this way in the future. In the future, this is how we will live, and I am teaching it to you beforehand. I am teaching it beforehand. So in order to establish the Yonghwa world, I am telling you this at Yonghwa Temple. Then where else would I tell it? All the people going to temples are living beings. They are all people who will soon die within a day or two. If you want to establish the Yonghwa world and not die, you must come to Yonghwa Temple. Where else are you sitting around? If you sit elsewhere, you will all die. You must come to Yonghwa Temple. Only then will you not die, right? Do you think Buddha's enlightened light exists anywhere else besides Yonghwa Temple? It does not exist elsewhere. Those places do not even have a firefly's light. Do you know what a firefly is? There is not even a firefly's light there. So when I see people causing labor disputes, refusing to work, shouting for money, and carrying on with labor conflicts while the world is developing and rapidly changing like this, it means people still have not properly become human beings. Employees and business owners are as different as heaven and earth. You must understand that. Even if employees and business owners work in the same factory, they are as different as heaven and earth. People who run businesses and conduct research without sleeping at night use their minds immensely while researching sleeplessly. Therefore, all manual systems will disappear in the future. Manual systems. For example, if cancer is inside a person's stomach, doctors cut it open and remove it. That is a manual system. But when machines appear, a person will simply go inside the chamber and come out, and everything will disappear. When laser light touches such things, they simply disappear. So even surgeries for cancer masses are done with water. You know water, right? Drinking water. They already do many surgeries using water now. Don't you know that? If you go to shipyards where ships are made, the thickness of the steel plates on the bottoms of ships is this high from the ground. They are enormously thick, because if they were thin they would split apart when struck. They are tremendously huge. Do you think these are cut using electricity? They cut them all using water. There are lasers inside the water. Inside the water. There are lasers inside the water. So when it simply passes over something, even a lump of steel as large as this house or building can be cut within 0.1 seconds. Do you understand? I knew such things since the days when I ran factories long ago. But after running factories, I realized that people constantly make things difficult. Because places like Hyundai kept forming labor unions, people in my company also kept gathering to try to form unions. They would secretly hide somewhere drinking alcohol while plotting to create labor unions. There were about 600 employees, but in the beginning there were even 10,000 or 50,000 workers. But because I changed all the machinery into fully automated systems, people were no longer needed, so the number decreased to 600. But when they kept insisting on establishing labor unions, if things went wrong the business owner would end up being dragged around by the union. Dragged around. If they locked the doors, refused to work, come outside shouting and screaming, what can be done? You cannot beat someone else's children, so it becomes impossible to handle. So if you cannot stand looking at a temple, there are many temples people cannot stand looking at. What should you do if you dislike a temple? If you dislike a temple, then the monk should leave. You cannot tear down the temple. Isn't that right? If an employee dislikes the workplace, what should happen? The employee should leave. What else can be done? Should the company owner leave instead? The owner does not leave. They are employees. Living beings are nothing from head to toe once greed is removed from them. That is what living beings are. That is why they have labor disputes and protest, trying to earn even one more penny and take income into their own pockets. But when I quietly listened to the news about Samsung employees seemed extremely foolish. So they are tremendously behind the times in this era. Then Samsung has no future. Then what should be done? It means a company cannot be run by trusting employees. The company owner must survive using his own mind. A company cannot survive through the minds of employees. If you give them just a little money, they demand more. Originally, laborers should simply receive the wages they are given. They must not demand more money. That is unlawful. So they are forcibly and stubbornly taking money away. So that is wrong. But that is only because these are still the present times. It is only because this is this year. Just let this year pass and look next year. Let us say Samsung Electronics has 40,000 people. Then because it is now, it is 40,000. Look next year and the year after that, and see how many remain. Only 1/10 will remain, 1/10. Even 4,000 people would be too many, even 4,000. Why? Everything will be done by machines. Who is doing it with people? So why did robots appear in the first place? Robots appeared because there were too many people, labor costs were high, and managing people was difficult. Even better things than robots are lined up to appear in the future. So why are those people having labor disputes and demanding money like that? They seem determined to pull out even the roots of the pillars. Now, I do not need to say this and that about someone else's company. But looking at this world, I saw in the news that each employee receives 153 million won. If the annual salary is 153 million won, the wages are tremendously high. Samsung Electronics in our country pays the highest salaries in the world. Then the proportions do not match. It does not make sense to pay them a lot because they make high-end products, while people working elsewhere receive little because their products are cheap. Because those people and the rest of the population all live together and coexist equally on the land of the Republic of Korea, salaries must be proportionally balanced. They must not say they receive higher salaries because they have specialized skills, so their average wages are far too high. Other people working in factories would get angry. They would think, damn it, I should have gone to Samsung Electronics and gotten a job there. Why am I working here? So they should receive only 1/3 of that. Only then would the ratio match with people working in other factories, and people would not get angry. Other people receive 4 to 5 million won a month, but if those people receive more than 10 million won a month, the ratio does not match. If one thinks of that positively, it may seem fine, but if one thinks of it negatively, Samsung Electronics chairman Lee Jae-yong is a bad person. If he pays high salaries in order to make money by having people work hard for his own company, he should also think about other people's companies. Isn't that right? In a democratic country, everyone equally runs businesses and factories, yet employees making semiconductors are paid a lot, and people handling iron and such in factories are paid little. That does not make sense. So Lee Jae-yong made many mistakes, in my view. He should not hand out so much money like that. Human greed has no end. If you give people a lot, they want to receive even more. So it is wrong. They give far too much salary. They give too much. Look at Hyundai Steel in Dangjin. They say the annual salary is as much as 93 million won. If it is 93 million won, that is an enormous amount. But because they kept refusing to work every day and held labor disputes demanding more money, the company owner asked, "Will you work or not?" When they said they would not unless he paid more money, he said, "Is that so?" Then he said to lower the doors and lock the main gate. He locked the doors and drove them all out. They were not working anyway, so he closed the factory doors. Then, when their annual salary was almost 100 million won, where would those people go and what would they do now? Because they have tasted that kind of money, they cannot go anywhere and work for a small amount. They would think, do you know how much money my day is worth? Am I supposed to come here and work for 100,000 won? That is what happens. They cannot work. Also, after working there as high-level workers, if they try to get hired at another factory, companies will not accept them. Why will they not accept them? They will say, "You are people who were kicked out after labor disputes, so we will not accept you at our company." They will flatly refuse. They cannot get hired. They might be able to go to Kupang and carry packages or loads, but they cannot get hired by a company. That is how the whole world is structured. So greed should be kept moderate, one must not be greedy. So in Ulsan as well, Hyundai Motor has already reduced a lot and will continue reducing in the future. They reduce the number of people. They do the work with robots. And they go overseas, dismantling factories and taking them abroad. So the national economy keeps failing to earn money. If they go out and earn money elsewhere, pay taxes there, and so on, what will happen? So in my view, whenever something like this happens in our country, growth stops for several years. Growth stops for several years because work could not be done during that time and things turned out that way. A great loss occurs. So I know laborers who work in factories very well. Because I ran factories for such a long time, I know the psychology of laborers extremely well. You must not deal with the psychology of laborers. You must absolutely not deal with them. They know nothing but money. So there are very few people who have the mindset, "I should work for the company." They all go around thinking only about money. That is why, back when I ran factories, I gave bonuses once every 2 months. Because they complained about money so much. Even though the basic salary was higher than at other factories, they still complained about money like that. What would I not know? So when I gave bonuses twice a month, their mouths nearly split from smiling so widely. But it was that hard for me. Even though it was difficult for me to earn money and give it every 2 months, the people receiving it did not think that way. The people receiving it, even if the president does not sleep at night, works so desperately, worries so much, and conducts politics with such hardship day and night, how many people would understand that heart? Not many. They say that because he is president, he naturally has to do it. What kind of reasoning is that? That is how the world is made of greed. So when I look at them like this, I think they are truly pitiful people. When I see Samsung semiconductor employees and factory workers having labor disputes, I say, you are truly pitiful children. They are pitiful. Just wait until next year. If people say they are having labor disputes, others will ask, "Are you really Korean?" Wait and see. Why? Before they can even bring up labor and management, everything will be made automated. All people will be driven out, and people will not be used. They will drive out all the people. That is how it must be. Why? They do not know gratitude. A business owner runs a company to make money, but how could he abandon a business once he has started it? And people who run companies feel great fulfillment in earning money, paying employees salaries, and allowing their families to live. Do you understand? If there are 100 employees, counting their families makes about 400 to 500 people. Because the company owner feeds about 400 to 500 people. In a way, he is someone to be grateful for. But they do not think of that with gratitude. They think, "You pay me because I work for you. If you worked, would I pay you?" That is how they think. But the business owner is the one who tries to earn even one more penny, feed all the employees, and pay salaries in a more rewarding way than others. If they do not understand that, mutual coexistence cannot happen. What would I not have felt while running factories? I felt it deeply to the bone. When I gave a 100% bonus every 2 months, at first they were shocked, but after receiving it a few times, they took it for granted. They thought, the boss earns a lot of money anyway. He earns money because of us, because we work for him. So they think, he should treat us well. They do not understand that the company owner does not sleep at night, researches and works hard, somehow keeps the factory running well, earns money, and tries to raise employees' salaries even a little. They do not understand it. Oh dear, they do not even ask. When I see Samsung protesting like that and having labor disputes, I say they are pitiful people. You must understand that. When you watch labor disputes on television, you should see them as truly pitiful children. Do you understand? Samsung chairman Lee Jae-yong has worked without compensation, without receiving a salary, for nearly 10 years until now. He does not receive money now, no salary. That person is unpaid. Then a company as large as Samsung is not a private company. It is a key national industry. What would he do by earning all that money for himself? It is all work done for the country, for the people, and for the nation. Yet they go in front of someone else's company owner's house while he is sleeping, shout, beat drums, strike gongs, and protest. They print out photos of their own company chairman, scatter them on the street, and stomp on the face in those photos with their feet. Are those not bad people? Think about it. Originally, people said you must not even step on the shadow of the face of the teacher who teaches you. Not even the shadow. When a person stands, their shadow appears, right? But people print out a photo and step on it. So with what face can such people go back to that company and work again? They should quit. At this opportunity, they should all be cleaned out. So they should leave the labor union and say, I dislike labor unions. I am grateful just to receive the salary the company gives me, so I dislike labor unions. And if they ask for performance bonuses too, why would I demand that money again when I already received my salary? People who have such upright consciences should be left in the company, and all the others should be cut off completely. If they are not cut off, another disease will arise. Just wait and see. I am not lying. Another disease will arise. Once they try it and find it works, those people will use that tactic again. So they must all be cut off. This year, as they say, you row when the tide comes in. And even in such a good economy, earning a lot of money is rare. Samsung Electronics did not earn that much money through semiconductors. And even though it is someone else's company, I know it thoroughly because I did business for a long time. Why? If they move from Vietnam to America, or move a factory to India, they move because there is a reason. Why else would they move? Do you understand? That reason is that the country makes it difficult to run the company, or the employees make it difficult, or there is some problem, so they move to another country. How bad must it be for them to move? Is our country the only country there is? If they dismantle things in our country too and take them to another country, that is the end. What will the people of our country live on? People should receive salaries there and live, and factories should operate for the country and the nation. Without knowing that, if they close the doors, protest, and have labor disputes demanding more money, those people do not even belong among human beings. They are doing it only out of their own greed. So in my view, there are various shields. What are they? In the case of SK, that is also semiconductors. But although it is the same type of semiconductor company, they gave money there. If they give money, they must not give it that way. Why? A large key industry, such a large company, must not act however it wants. If those people give 1,001, for example, Samsung also has to give 1,001. Because they are the same type of company and make the same kind of products. People will say, they gave 1,001 there, so we should receive it too, right? That is what will happen. Because they provided a pretext, it was wrong. So because one company trying to survive can harm other companies as well, those people also made a mistake. Isn't that right? Whether people's factories are large or small, large companies, small companies, and medium-sized companies all glare fiercely trying to earn money and live well somehow, without thinking of other companies. Do you understand? That is why, since long ago, they called it industrial espionage. What is industrial espionage? They secretly go to another country or another company and recruit technicians. That is called industrial espionage. And people did such things a lot in the past. They are probably still doing it now. We cannot say they are not. That still exists in our society now. If they recruit that person away, what is the other person's company supposed to do? So Korean technicians are being sold off to China now, going there because Chinese people pay a lot of money, and then they get caught and go to prison. So the policy has been handled wrongly. Because if the person does not go, they send drawings and do all kinds of crazy things. Such people, that is what they do. So if someone gets hired by Samsung, for example, then when they retire, they should be told, you cannot go abroad until the day you die. If they leak company secrets, then all their property should be confiscated beyond monetary calculation. Why? Because for key industries and national industries, once such valuable technology leaks outside, it becomes a serious disaster. But people are blinded by money and do such things often. So when people in such important positions at large companies and major enterprises resign or retire, they should be prevented from going abroad until the day they die. They should make them sign a written pledge and then hire them. So, they should receive all of that when hiring them and then use them as employees. Otherwise, there will be serious trouble. You may not know it well, but right now our country has many precious companies that the world would admire. Foreign countries want to obtain those technologies, but they cannot take them. So you know the cars you ride in. Do you know how outstanding the technology of those tires is? Because I come to the temple and give sermons like this, and people say awaken Maitreya Buddha. Maitreya Buddha, you only think of it as religion. You do not think about how to live in society. I am telling you, there is nothing I do not know about technology and management. How well must I have known it for people to have named me the Steel President? I did not give myself that name. You know your car tires, right? Our country's technology is #1 in the world. That is military style. But even our country's Kumho tire ended up passing to China because of poor management. Even if parents pass down a lot of wealth to their children, if the children have no ability, they will ruin everything, even down to the spoon handles, and become beggars. Not just anyone becomes rich. And people like Lee Jae-young of Samsung are people with outstanding minds. I am telling you, they have outstanding minds. Even if hundreds of millions of your minds were put together, they could not keep up with one person's mind. That is why such a person feeds so many people. So when a good company is created, what is precious is a system that can carry it on well from generation to generation. If you suddenly hand it over to your child, they will simply ruin it. Because they have no ability, they know nothing. So an employee remains only an employee until the day they die. What is an employee? A servant. An employee is a servant. The word one is added to make it a little more respectful, so they are called employees, but originally they are servants. Someone who receives wages and works as a servant, what else would they be? Isn't that right? The one comes from the word for employee ID. They simply added that character. Originally, they are servants. Look at churches. What is a pastor? A pastor is God's servant. A servant is a servant, and a servant cannot become the owner. So if they stay and then no longer want to stay, they should leave, write a resignation letter, and leave. They hire another person, pay them money, and that is what a servant is. Do you think the employees who work at Samsung Electronics or Samsung Semiconductor are public officials or something? They are all servants. If they do not want to stay, they are driven out. If they do wrong, they are driven out. If they do not want to work, they leave and quit and another person can be hired. So that is why they are servants. They are not company members. What company members? Nonsense. Isn't that right? They are servants. Yet servants try to be equal to the owner. So if that person is the company owner or chairman of their own company, how precious a person is he? Yet they print out his face photo, scatter it on the street, step on it, and rub the face with their shoes. Why do they do that? To put it nicely, such behavior must not be done. To put it badly, they are bad people. Isn't that right? Hiring such people again? Why hire them? If a wife goes out once, has an affair, and sleeps with another man once, that wife cannot be trusted. You cannot know when that madness will come out and she will leave again. A person who is not acting with their own mind, but has another mind inside them, is said to have madness. So what are mentally ill people and people possessed by ghosts? In the old days, people said those possessed by ghosts had madness. They would say, that family's son has madness. In the old days, they called a crazy person someone with madness. Then when you hear someone say you have madness, does it feel good or bad? Saying someone has madness is worse than saying they are crazy. So in my opinion, the chairman did the right thing. At this opportunity, he should get rid of all of them. And our country has especially many labor disputes, especially when viewed globally. So get rid of labor unions. Why create labor unions? Then has anyone not paid salaries or driven people out? Even if a factory fails and has no money, wages are still paid. So why have labor disputes? If labor disputes happen because the company failed, became bankrupt, and disappeared, then perhaps that would be understandable. But salaries are all paid. Then that should be enough. Originally, severance pay is also something that was created, severance pay. You were here for 1 year, so we will give you 1 year's worth of severance pay. Originally, severance pay was not given. You simply work day by day and take your daily wage, so why give severance pay? It is all consideration given by the company. Severance pay is also consideration. You have worked hard and labored during this time. I will give you 1 more month's salary, and that consideration is severance pay. Why give severance pay, and for what reason? The wages for labor were already paid every month. So in the country, the president, National Assembly members, and politicians should think a little and present some kind of alternative. But they were sitting there with their mouths shut tight. They are sitting there with their mouths shut tight. These days, because election season is coming around, they are especially biting their mouths shut all the way to their front teeth. They do not open their mouths or say a single word at all. Originally, labor unions should be abolished. I mean, as you have all seen until now, have you ever seen a company owner refuse to pay employees and beat them with clubs to drive them out? They do not do that. Employees, company owners, and presidents are all in the same boat. They are riding in the same boat together. Money is like this: if fishermen cannot catch fish, aren't the ship owner, captain, and crew all the same? If they fail to catch fish, must the crew be paid all the money anyway? They are not paid. They only divide the earnings when fish are caught. If they cannot even catch fish but demand money, is the ship owner supposed to die? Looking at those people, they were doing things that do not make sense. So labor unions should be abolished. When viewed globally, our country alone has especially many labor disputes, and that includes the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions and the Federation of Korean Trade Unions. The Korean Confederation of Trade Unions is worse, and then the Federation of Korean Trade Unions. The Korean Confederation of Trade Unions is all those who work at large factories in Ulsan. The Federation of Korean Trade Unions includes all the medium-sized companies, small companies, and smaller businesses. Do you think I do not know labor unions? I am a doctor of it. Labor unions must not exist. And until now, in companies, owners have indulged employees and treated them gently. They did it like this, indulging them. From now on, laborers will have to bow and scrape before company owners. Why? There will be nowhere to work. I am not lying. They say 40,000 Samsung employees are having labor disputes, but just wait a while and see how many remain. There will be very few people. Everything will be done by machines, and people will not be needed. I calculated it exactly. When I roughly calculated it, if one person is hired, in semiconductors for example, the annual salary costs 100 to 150 million won. If the work is done with robots, in 1 year, who knows? If you count various additional costs, one robot does not even cost 10 million won. Then how much profit is that for the company? That makes it 15 times more profitable. 15 times. Think about it, that is the kind of world it is. In the past, when I ran factories, everything was done by hand and with manpower, so the place was crowded with people. But I studied it all in my head and changed everything to automation. Automation. Because when wires come out, they come streaming out like spider webs, and people are not needed. Even the banding at the end happens automatically. Click. If it is set exactly to 100 kilometers or 150, once it reaches that weight, it is automatically cut and automatically processed. Then it goes out along the conveyor automatically. At the far end, it is automatically received, and the machine stacks it neatly in the warehouse. All of that used to be done by people, Forklifts were moving around, but people are not needed. Why use so many people? You have to feed them, pay them money. It is no ordinary burden. When Chuseok or Lunar New Year comes, you have to give bonuses again. When summer comes and vacation season arrives, you have to give money again. Why should I give money? Because they are going somewhere to play in hot weather. They can figure it out themselves and rest under some shade tree or under an air conditioner. I did all sorts of things too. Isn't that right? Those people, really, if the weather is good and they go on vacation, they can rest on their own. I did all sorts of things. But after doing all that, as time passed, nothing at all remained. There was no one who praised me, and nobody praised me. Since they received bonuses once every 2 months, their lives quickly improved. Of course that would happen, even after living in such a world and working so hard for them. In the end they tried to create a labor union and shake things up again somehow. Do I not know about labor unions? Am I someone who does not even know the letter Gyayak when looking at a sickle, so that I would not know labor unions? If they want to form a labor union, they should quit. Isn't that right? If they want to form a labor union, they must quit. I can earn as much money as I want doing something else, so why would I sit there worrying about that? Isn't that right? If they formed a labor union only for show, and said, hey, when the machines start at 9 in the morning, let's turn them off, go outside for just 1 hour, rest over there, and then come back into work, then perhaps that would be different. But would union people do that? They would be ready to not work every day. How could I look at those guys when they are so disgusting to see? I cannot look at them because I get angry. And I also have a quick temper. I am an 8th degree black belt in karate. Everyone. Shall I go and show you sometime by breaking a stone? If I hit someone's head once, it would end right there. Would I stay still? If they sat there not working, I would burn with anger. Would I not burn with anger? Am I not giving money? Am I not paying salaries? Why? For what reason are they having labor disputes? Would I stay still with my temper? I would punch each of them once in the forehead and make holes in their heads. It is impossible to live that way. So I understand Lee Jae-young's feelings very well. In some ways, he is pitiful. As a Korean, he goes abroad day and night, to India, America, Vietnam, and all over the place every day, living away from home. How difficult must that be? Thinking of that, who would understand his feelings? When I think about it, he seems truly sorrowful. Those who had labor disputes, those who work at the Samsung semiconductor factory, should all kneel before Lee Jae-young even today and apologize. They should all kneel and say, how did I grow older so uselessly, listen to other people, and do such things? And they should apologize with their heads pressed to the ground under the blazing sun. Isn't that right? Do you know how irritated the people are these days? They are extremely irritated because of Samsung. For the president too, it is not just 1 or 2 people, but many people screaming fiercely. So what can the president do? Even if he says one word, such people will not listen, and the president must be frustrated to death right now too. But if he tries to use coercive authority, that also cannot be done in a democratic country. He must be dying now from frustration. They should also kneel before the president and beg. They should say, for several days, we committed a sin worthy of death, so if your anger is not relieved, come right now and strike my backside with a club even 100 times. In this way, Samsung semiconductor employees must reflect, restrain themselves, and apologize immediately, starting today. In my view, it is not only Samsung that has been deeply harmed. There are tens of thousands of partner companies that supply goods to Samsung, and they are all closed these days. If the prime contractor closes, the subcontractors must also close, right? Think about it. What use is delivering goods when no work is being done? They must think about that. Then Samsung may have 40 or 50,000 people, but if subcontractors are included, it exceeds 100,000 people. I am saying this because they are harming people so deeply. Isn't that right? So when you understand it, the fact that this world is rapidly changing is actually a very good thing. good products come out, good machines appear, and goods are produced without people being needed. How wonderful would it be if Korea developed by creating such machines that cause money to pour into Korea? Do you understand? So you may not know it these days, but North Korea's Kim Jong-un cannot sleep nowadays. No, that wretched man struggled desperately, tightening his belt and even going hungry. Oh dear, he went hungry, when he should have been feeding people rice. But instead he skipped that, ate noodles or flour, and saved money while making nuclear shells. He made nuclear weapons, but out of nowhere South Korea is pouring out cutting-edge weapons, so what can he do? He cannot sleep now. How could he sleep? Looking at him these days, he has aged a lot, that boy. How could he sleep? When you watch the news these days, is what I say right or wrong? As for lasers, you see, lasers are like this. A drone rises into the sky, right? Once a laser detects it even once, it follows it all the way until it falls. It follows it until it falls, trailing it closely, with nowhere for it to hide. Even if it returns home, it follows it all the way home and destroys it. Even if it returns home. So once it is spotted even once, that is the end of it. Such a frightening eagle that catches drones has appeared in Korea, while America has spent all this time only collecting money. Trump likes money that much. How can someone like money so much? Because he likes money. Every day he just grabs money and puts it in his pocket. Because he tries to slyly gather and earn money, the country does not work out. He should look toward the future. Just wait and see. Now Trump of America will say to Korea, younger brother Taemyeong. Since he is older, that is what he should say. I am your older brother Trump, and this time we need this kind of weapon, so somehow give it to us. Now he will beg, kneeling down. I am telling you it is true. Watch carefully and see whether it is a lie. Next, China will also become uneasy. After China, where else? Japan will also become uneasy. Because although Japan is called a neighbor, we suffered so much pain and hardship from those Japanese people. So there is something called resentment. It exists, but America has been protecting them. If America steps away, if Japan is roasted on some chosen good day, it will have nothing left. If they are roasted like beans, you can simply pick them up and eat them like beans. So I must give all the hints. I give hints about the machines to be made. So watch carefully. When aircraft take off, aerial refueling tankers take off too, right? Why would they take off? Because if they need to stay in the sky until the end, they run short of fuel, so fuel is supplied. But that fuel and that refueling tanker are not needed. They are not needed. If hydrogen is prepared, once an aircraft takes off, it runs on electricity. Because aircraft will fly with electricity, fuel is not needed. Korea has become very proud these days. Do you know why it has become so proud? Because of wars like this, oil is not coming out, and aviation fuel is not coming out. So aircraft in foreign countries cannot take off, creating serious trouble. Our country has the best technology in the world for extracting aviation fuel from oil. Do you understand? So even if you combine America, China, Russia, and such, they can only make about 25%, or at best 20% to 25%, of aviation fuel. About 75% to 80% of it is all made by our country globally. So aviation fuel is not gasoline. Aviation fuel is not gasoline. So if Korea simply supplies the oil, that is enough. Do you understand? Korea's technology is extremely good. Why? Places like Saudi Arabia pump out oil, right? When they pump out oil, residue comes out. They throw away all that residue. If we bring that residue here, our country can extract the finest aviation fuel from that residue. Our country's technology is that outstanding. What do you think? So our country is that precious a nation. But America only has a large landmass. Later, just wait and see, they will beg and say, oh dear. Then later Trump will call President Lee Jae-myung older brother. What can be done? I am telling you, that will happen. No, I am not saying this just to make people laugh. It is 100%. It will happen like this. Wait and see whether it is a lie. Money will pour in. Money must pour in so that when you grow old, lose strength, and cannot earn money, the government will provide all the money. If every household receives some living expenses, even about 2 million won each, then there is no worry about living, right? So receiving 2 million won each is not temporary, but continuous. How is that? But it has to be that way because there will be nowhere to work. If there is nowhere to work, then what can be done? People must receive that and live on it. Should they die instead? They would receive it quickly, and then good machines will appear and the machines will treat everything completely. People will not die either, so how wonderful would that be? A place where people live is the Yonghwa world. Then, eventually, the layman L. from Onsan will say he will sell his bees. He will say he has to sell the bees because money is given now, so he cannot raise bees anymore. People will say, oh no, this is a big problem. People will tell him to raise them until the end, but he will say he is selling the bees. He will say, why work when they give money? But our country will become the richest in the world. It is true, I am telling you it is true. As for tanks, foreign tanks cannot move across desert sand. They get buried in the sand, and although tanks should be able to charge forward, they cannot move. But our country's tanks are amazing. They move across it as if driving on asphalt, just going at 60 kilometers per hour, with lasers. If things become like that, heaven and earth are finished. People will try to buy this. What uses a little pop gun, shooting one small thing, like a peanut? Would that work? Think about it. So it is amazing. In our country, people with large bodies are usually dull-headed. They are number one at eating, but when it comes to using their minds, their heads are dull. But people who are short and compact have good minds. Why? The functions that should go to the head all go toward the large body, so the brain function becomes weak. But people whose bodies are not large, who are compact, tightly gathered, slim, and small, have all those functions in their heads, so their talents are outstanding. It is true. That is why people said that among strong people, the head is dull. Am I right? I am strong, but my head is not dull. My head also has strong energy. Is this interesting? As the world moves that way, what I am saying is that Samsung's employees and laborers made a major mistake. They said they would give more than 500 million won each, 530 million won each. That is not enough. They should give 700 million won. What could be done with that amount? It was bargaining. Bargaining. Do you know bargaining? When money is received and exchanged, that is called bargaining. How did the bargaining turn out? So they ended up not getting the honey and only getting stung by bees. Isn't that right? They did not get the honey and only got stung by bees. Now they will not receive it. Not 530 million won, not even 51 will be given now. Do you think they will give it? They say 1 trillion won is lost per day. So how many days has it already been? Originally, they said they would hold a general strike on May 18th, and this is now the practice period. So people like that labor union chairman must not be left alone. There are many major companies in our country, such as Kia and Hyundai. A labor union is not a company employee. A labor union is something created by workers. So the workers deduct a certain amount from their monthly salary. They deduct it and give it to the labor union. Then the people in the labor union take that money and live on it. A labor union has nothing to do with the Samsung company itself. But many employees have been cut, and because good machines keep appearing, robots appear, and better machines appear, the number of personnel has decreased greatly these days, even at automobile companies. So the labor union cannot be operated. Because the labor union cannot be operated, if you go to the labor union office, there are many people there, such as the labor union chairman and others. Those people cannot receive even a penny of salary because no money is coming into the union. Think about it. So the labor union has nothing to do with the company. The labor union is made and operated by the laborers who go to work at the company's factory. Understood? It has nothing to do with the company. But when those people are reported, They go to prison and such things happen. In my view, Samsung probably will not leave them alone either. So, is today interesting? But eating just one rice cake earlier was not enough, was it? It must be lacking. Older people are fine because their intestines have shrunk this much now from aging. So if one of these goes in, there is no problem, but young people are this big, so with just one, it has already melted away. It is almost 3 o'clock now. I suppose I should stop. Is it interesting? So the Yonghwa world is not a place you go to after death. So Samsung should listen carefully too. It means Samsung Semiconductor will also establish the Yonghwa world. Then what does that mean? What does it mean that Samsung Semiconductor establishes the Yonghwa world? Because in the future, work will not be done by human labor, and everything will be operated by robots, AI, and such precious things, so people will not do the work they used to do. Machines will now do all the work that people do. Then what will all factories become in the future? Gong thought. Gong thought. Companies will all change into gong thought. I keep saying people are not needed. To be honest, I have said that more than 10,000 times. People are not needed. What need is there for people? When I keep giving hints and telling them, they develop things and they come out quickly. When I said that cars can move by generating electricity through the Buddha's enlightened light of the sun, so why put in oil? I saw recently that Tesla had made it. That is how genius-like the minds of business owners are. Do you understand? They live better than others because they have good minds. Understood? So you should not only look at how others live, you should also sit down, research, and all leave comments. When you leave comments, ask, for what exactly are we living? What do we believe in as we live from now on? What is hope? There are amazingly many things like this to write in comments, yet people do not write them. Even when I awaken such good minds for you, you do not use them. What do you think? Am I right or wrong? Why are you not using your minds? If people who studied a lot and graduated from universities do not use such minds, that is a serious problem. Isn't that right? Even though it is not a company I work for, as one citizen of the Republic of Korea, why are they having labor disputes? What is the reason for having labor disputes? Write that out point by point and post it on YouTube. People will say, hey, we should immediately bring this person in as a managing director. Or they will say, we should bring this person in as president. Because not just anyone can look into the future and write it down. But I have taught you all the ability and skill to write, so why are you not using it? What kind of place is Yonghwa Temple? And what kind of place is Jajasa? You should write things like this. Yonghwa Temple is not a place where people go to bow, pray, sit with their eyes closed, and chant the Buddha's name. In the future, temples that people attend believing in such things will all disappear from the world. What does Yonghwa Temple do? You have learned things, haven't you? How much have you learned during all this time? You should write that. Then, why on earth is Samsung Semiconductor having labor disputes? Write all of that. Why are they having labor disputes? Are they not giving them food, not giving them money, or not giving them something? They give everything. So why have labor disputes? They even give higher salaries than others. So what reason is there to do that? Demanding separate money from what the company earns is the mindset of a thief. Then if the company runs a deficit, will those people sell even their houses and give everything to the company? They will say, the company owner managed poorly and failed to earn money, so why should we pay money? That makes no sense. When they say the company earned money, they demand more money. Management operates according to the current circumstances. The current circumstances mean that when the situation in the world is good, you earn some money, and when the situation is bad, you cannot earn money. Then write those things point by point and post them. You are people, and I am a person too, but this does not match reason. Our country is in a very difficult time right now, and if even you have labor disputes and close factory doors like this, semiconductors are very popular right now, and if this opportunity is missed, money cannot be earned. Why are you doing this? Write something that really cuts to the bone. Then people will probably praise you greatly. Why can't you write such things? What do you do when you go home? You go home and stare at the ceiling. In the old days, there were rafters, so you would lie down and count the rafters. What do you do at home while lying down? Oh dear, this is truly frustrating. Give back all the rice cake you ate. Where did the rice cake you ate go? There is no trace of it. Understood? Put in such good phrases. No. How were my words? Wasn't it good to hear them? Speaking at length is not necessarily good. Write it clearly. The president too, in such difficult circumstances. There are even wars happening overseas. These days, things like oil are so important. If a country cannot get oil these days, the country shuts down. So it is nerve-wracking trying to buy oil. If the Red Sea side gets blocked, even if oil is bought, it cannot be brought in. So how necessary oil is for operating a country. Does a car need oil only when it passes by? Everything we use is oil. Even clothes like these are all oil. The yarn is drawn out from oil. Since it is this precious, how much labor must the president be going through? As one citizen and as one woman, I cannot truly help. And when I see the president's face, my heart hurts. Please take good care of your meals and do not go hungry. Please at least eat your meals properly on time. Write and post something like this. If the president reads it, he will shed tears. Isn't that right? When people send affection, affection also comes back. This happens because people keep trying only to receive. If you only try to receive, that is the same mindset as Samsung employees. One must know how to give as well. One must not keep rushing in only to receive. Isn't that right? That is why I never think that way in my life. I must always try only to give. How do you feel today? Do you feel good? So I feel good. And only when you feel good do I feel good. What is that called? What is that called? A video? Interdependent arising. Why? So write such good words and post them to the president. He will say, I truly did well to become president. Since these people think of me that way, I too must run until the soles of my feet are completely worn away, even down to the bone. Some people start drinking as soon as it becomes 3 o'clock. What time is it? 3 o'clock. What does that sound like? Drinking hour. Isn't that what they would say? Is it interesting? In any case, the sermon is precious, but the hearts of those sitting and listening must also be joyful. This is the principle of a lecture. I gave a sermon, but this is also a lecture, a principle. So today's sermon was good, and Samsung's laborers must repent immediately today. That Maitreya Buddha statue at that Yonghwa in the countryside. The other day I scolded those people named Lee. That is why living beings are nothing more than living beings. I told them about our temple too and told them everything. So look, those people are such ignorant country bumpkins. So I was angry and was not going to do it. But when I looked for the Maitreya Buddha statue, I felt sorry for it. So I thought I should go. So are you planning to go, or are you not going? Raise your hands if you will go. There are people who are not raising their hands. Do you not want to go? If you do not want to go, do not go. You are not raising your hand here. Why do you not want to go? If you go there, will someone hit you or something? Are you going or not? No. If you are not going to go, I will quit starting now. You are going? Devotion is also good when you do it when told to do it later. You will not even be able to do it. And do you know how good it is to release loaches? If we do not release the loaches, all those loaches will be boiled and eaten. Are they not pitiful? We must release them. The ones we buy all live. And when I shouted once for storks and such not to come, I have not seen them lately. Because I shouted. But that thing eats a lot. You know those big frogs. That thing eats many loaches. That wretched thing. I do not know who brought and put in that frog. That wretched frog. It is not a frog. It is a frog. People are truly strange. If they can make even a little money, there is nothing they will not do. I am telling you, there is nothing they will not do. Enjoy your lunch, and when you go home, do not waste time loitering around. Try writing impressive comments too. If it is 2 million, think about whether 2 million is just a mere number. They stayed up all night last night too. Even though I told them not to, they stayed up all night. All of you, try staying up all night once on the computer. I am saying you should think about that too. It was not done for their own personal benefit. So you should think about it. Even in your hearts. Think how hard our head monk must be working. 2 million does not just happen. Think about how precious it is. Look through all religions and see whether there are 2 million. 2 million is difficult. When I look at people around the world who have high numbers on YouTube, they are famous singers, or otherwise that foreign person who watches television with his upper body bare. Neo-Rouges. Raise your hand if you have seen that person. Neo-Rouges. You do not know him. These people are far from the new culture that has appeared these days. Songmin, our drive, A, and Yang Kyung A. Have you seen him? Song Jongwon? You think you have seen him? You stay out of it. If you say it that way, no one will believe you when you say, I think I have seen him. No one else has seen him, right? When you see that person, he is definitely good. Because he does that well, he becomes a hit. Our YouTube is also becoming a hit because the content is so good. It was 2 million just the other day, but earlier Hoji said it had gone up by more than 10,000 to 2.01 million. So since when did humans go to the moon? As time passed, humans ended up going all the way to the moon and coming back. It is the same with us. Just wait a little longer. If it goes from 2 million to 10 million, at that point the earth will spin round and round. Even now, I can raise it to 100 million if I set my mind to it. It is only because it is difficult for me. I am telling you, I can do 100 million. So people from the Jogi sect or Tigo sect and such are completely country bumpkins. Those people cannot do it. That also requires ability. Words raise subscribers only when listeners feel favor toward them. What use is it if I alone just talk a lot? The answer lies with the listeners. The listeners. Editing must also be done well, but the point is how many good words can be poured out. Isn't that right? Let us just eat and finish. I am watching most deeply those who leave good comments on YouTube. Seeing how you answer, it seems unlikely that many comments will be posted. It seems unlikely. Perhaps I should make it so that those who leave good comments on YouTube can go to the Yonghwa world. Because people do not do it. Since you said you would do it now, in the end, you will do it well, right? Today we did something great. You do not know where the 2 tea ritual ceremonies went, right? You do not know. They ascended as offerings to the Yonghwa world. They must go there in order to reincarnate quickly. What use is it to remain there as ghosts? They must receive reincarnation. In order to receive reincarnation, they must ascend to such a high place. Those people cannot ascend by learning the enlightenment themselves. Living people must learn the enlightenment and raise them up. Isn't that right? So it will be good. Keep living and see. All that blessing is received by the children. It is not all received by the father and mother. Are you laughing? So it is not you laughing, but your father laughing because he is pleased. Because even spirits all receive it if living people give commandments of Buddhism for them. That is right. I am telling you they receive it. Does it seem like a lie? Ask our monk about what happened before, when someone had gone mad and came here with a ghost-like thing attached, sitting up on their shoulder. It was sitting up here too. So the monk called me once and asked me for help, and I told him, sit at the temple. So he was sitting there, and I was over there. You know Gampo? I said Gampo, but Gampo is next to Pohang. When going toward Cheongju, where is that place? Not Yeoju. Where is the place that produces many peaches? That's right, Gamjo. I was there in Gamjo. There was a chili pepper field under a chestnut tree there. I stood in the chili pepper field and did it from there, and the ghost just vanished in an instant and disappeared. What do you think? Ask whether it is a lie. So when it comes to Chindo ceremonies, anyone who wants a Chindo ceremony for the dead must come to Yonghwa Temple on Surazan Mountain in Anyang. Only then can they receive redemption and be guided through the Chindo ceremony. For Chindo, you must come to Yonghwa Temple on Surazan Mountain in Anyang. It becomes Chindo only when you come to me. I am telling you it is true. Even if monks learn the enlightenment until the day they die, once they die, Chindo does not happen, and they simply leave as ghosts. So anyone who wants to receive Chindo must come to Yonghwa Temple on Surazan Mountain in Anyang. Everyone must come. Once they come and receive commandments of Buddhism, That is enough. You know reincarnation, right? Reincarnation. The law of all things in the universe, the Gong thought. The teachings of Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, the founder of the Gong thought. An enlightened Buddha emits light from his body and saves living beings with Buddha's enlightened light. The light of the sun that creates all things is Buddha's enlightened light. And only the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha can make humans reincarnate. The Buddha's enlightened light of the living Buddha. That is precisely the Gong thought. Receiving Shugi means embracing Buddha's enlightened light, that is, the Gong thought, within my body. After death, there is no samsara, only everything becomes extinct. If you receive Shugi with the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha, you will have eyes that can see the Yonghwa world even after death. Chendo and Shugi are only possible through the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha. Don't receive Chendo after death, receive Shugi while you are alive. Believe and follow only what you can see, hear, and confirm. The dead cannot arise interdependently, only the living can arise interdependently. Just as gold cannot be made artificially, a Buddha comes as a Buddha from the beginning, and a living being cannot become a Buddha through prayer or Zen meditation. However, those who have received Shugi can receive Buddha's enlightened light and become living Buddhas. All these Gong thought were created by Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha. Like the sky and the earth, the sea and the mountains, the source of life and creation, the limitless and eternal truth, the Gong thought. See, hear, and meet Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha's Gong thought directly every Sunday at Yonghwa Temple in Surazan Mountain, Anyang.